Western Spring Television, ours it is.
Arise and shine. Good morning. This is Morning Spring on Western Spring Television, a darling program where we have deep and frank conversations about issues of public importance. We look at headlines, juicy, interesting stories found on our major dailies every day. And of course, we then get talking. This program holds at this time every weekday, 7 a.m. Femi Ojo is my name. I'm very happy and delighted to welcome you to today's program here at the channel where we say it as it is. Once again, you're welcome. Evelyn, good morning.
Good morning, Femi.
Thank you.
Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, people all around the world. Thank you for joining us on the midweek installment of Morning Spring. We'll bring to you critical issues happening in our country and beyond. My name is Evelyn Ohiola, and I am super delighted to have you on board with us. Thank you.
Very well, thank you. Talking about our nation issues, challenges, progress, prospect, promises being made by these great nation of good people, which gives us great nation, Nigeria, and of course subnationals as well. That's what we look into, sometimes beyond the shores of our nations. And talking about what has happened the last few hours or last 24 hours, by the way, the governor of Oyo State, Engineer Seyi Makinde, he said it, stemming out of that unfortunate incident that happened at Bodija last week, that after all being said and done, he was going to go and present, have a report of what happened to the president. I had my reservations that time because I was wondering, really, why? We have the independence of the three tiers of government, federal, state, and local government. And he's the one at the end of affairs there. He's really tried, and that's why we commended him on the response and the information sharing that he was the incident officer, by the way, last week. But then when he said he was going to go to the president to present a report, many persons, including myself, was wondering to what end, to do what? NEMA, that's the National Emergency Management Agency, has come to Ibadan to do what they should do. The president called him, to commiserate with him on the loss of people and properties in that place. So I think he went there yesterday or thereabout and then had a report presented to the president. And they took shots, photographed. The president appeared to be smiling. And many persons are really talking about this. Number one, that report was unnecessary. To what end? This kind of report, this is a report that couldn't be done electronically. In 2024, must you fly to Abuja to do that and then take photograph, having a report detailing what has happened? That report is a report of pain, actually, of people's pain, of an eventuality of some unfortunate, unscrupulous people who, were careless about storing something that should not be in that particular area. So when the photograph emerged yesterday, and it was like a presentation of a report, and there was photograph taken, and it appears to me, my personal opinion, Evelyn, that's the optic is not good, really.
Yes.
Totally unnecessary.
You know, someone, I saw a tweet yesterday where someone said, what do we practice in Nigeria? I mean, talking about the economy, is it capitalism? Is it socialism? And someone responded and said, it is orishirishism. You know, and for something like this, you might want to ask, what do we practice in Nigeria? Is it a federal system of government?
Yeah,
is it a unitary system of government? What exactly do we practice in Nigeria? But then about the president getting the report, I don't see anything wrong in it, but I see something. I think the governor traveling all the way to the FCT to present this report to Mr. President is what I have an issue with. I mean, we had one of the president's minister, Mr. Dele Alake, come to Oyo State. That was a very good place for the governor to give the report to the minister, because the president is also concerned about what happened in Oyo State, because Oyo State is in Nigeria. You understand? So it's my issue, issue is with the governor flying all the way to Abuja to present this report and posing for the pictures.
And posing for the picture, Evelyn.
I don't think it was that necessary.
It wasn't.
I don't think it was necessary.
It wasn't. What for? Presentation like you are presenting a check or something that is really iconic. What for? Then, apart from Dele Alake, he was in Ibadan just a few days ago. You could have given him your report. He works with the president.
Exactly.
He's in the presidency. Neymar is another agency of the government that could have written a report. They will surely write a report and present it to the right quarters. What report did engineer Seyi Makinde flew to Abuja for? And he wouldn't go there, Seyi Makinde alone. We will still have people travel with him to help him if actually that is necessary. And I think that is why culpability should really be returned to where it belongs. When he tried, the manner in which he responded and took charge of that incident, we applauded him here from this desk. But then that journey was quite totally
It was like when the natural disaster befell Florida last year, the United States president traveled to Florida
to go and see. To
go see for himself and also to commiserate with the people. You didn't see Ron DeSantis flying all the way to the White House to present the
If this was the case, right, Evelyn, that president will come to Ibadan to go and say, the following week, the governor or the cabinet members, traditional rulers, will go to Ibadan to go and say, thank you, sir, for coming.
Amazing.
And you wonder what's wrong with these people. And like, this is somebody doing his job. In fact, musicians will follow him, party members, a whole plane will be chartered, you know, to just go and say, thank you for visiting us. Thank you for giving us a university. Thank you for doing this and doing that. We are not saying we should be ungrateful, but let's just work like people who really knows what is happening in town as well. And I think I'm not finding that funny at all.
That's why someone once said that what we run in Nigeria is more of a monarchical kind of, kind of system. It's not federal, it's monarchical, where the president is the king, the emperor, and the governors are like a subject, irrespective of whatever party that brought you into power is. That's
forgetting that they too have the mandate of the people.
Exactly. That's like the system we're on in Nigeria, and I think we really need to move past that.
That's right.
This is 2024. We need to really run government the way it's supposed to be run. This is democracy. We need to run it the way it is meant to be run.
Yeah, I'm making a quick dash before we go to the headlines to Port Harcourt, to Rivers State rather. I saw a video yesterday of where a local government chairman, Ikwere local government, Honorable Nwano CK, called his own governor a foolish governor. Now, this was not an excerpt. He posted it on his, so I had to go to the Nwano CK's X and to go and see, and it was there. He posted it himself, and these were his reasons, that there are some persons, individuals, he alleged that were being sponsored by Governor Fubara to be insulting his own principal, that's Governor Wike, because everybody know where Nwano CK belong, and he's not hiding it at all. That in as much those people that, according to him, were being sponsored by Governor Fubara will not stop insulting Nyesom Wike. He, as Nwano CK, will not stop insulting Governor Fubara. And this is a local government chairman, that way, calling his own state governor, we just have to say it, a foolish governor, just because you are showing your loyalty to somebody who was your benefactor, who has now moved to Abuja. And somebody is saying, this is really ugly and it's not, and he didn't say it at the comfort of his home. He said it at a town-hall meeting where people were gathered, and it was, you know, inciting, and, you know, he will say it, will you agree? The people will shout, you know, this kind of things, and you are wondering, is this where we are? Rivers.
That's politics in Nigeria, and these people need to understand that they are leaders of influence. They are not just occupying a seat.
Exactly.
People look up to them, and people tend to do what they do. People take their cue from, you know, their body language
And
about a
run with
particular
it.
situation and run with it. So they should not just see themselves as wanting to be loyal to a particular person, opposing the other person. I mean, we talked about the separation of powers, where the federal is different from the state and the state different from the local government. I have no issue about him opposing the governor if it's on the right reason, because the local government is supposed to be
About
independent.
policies.
Exactly. But you going to the extent
Personal.
of calling the governor names, I mean, it's not needed. It's really,
and for
really
his
awkward.
reasons, because his own principal, Nyesom Wike, is being insulted by people that he alleged were being sponsored by the governor. He too will not stop from insulting the state governor, and he called him such a very unprintable name.
It's shameful, and I think the Rivers people should not really encourage this. This is a shameful one, and it
somebody
should be
posted a
condemned
picture of the same one on
greatly.
Sike when he was kneeling before Fubara and say, "This you know, ex-people now, they will find it just now."
What's that word again? Trust politicians at your own
At your own
risk.
risk. Say, this same you that you are kneeling before Fubara.
You have to
Fubara
run.
was hugging you. But by the way, that is what it is, but it's very bad, by the way. We'll go on this quick break. When we'll come back, we'll go straight to the headlines. Right, this is the part where we go to the headlines. Miss Evelyn, please do us the honors.
All right, let's begin with the Punch newspaper this morning. Let's see what stories making waves on the Punch newspaper for this morning, Wednesday, 24th of January 2024. Still on the kidnapping epidemic, Punch has been reporting this since Monday. It's been making way to the front page of the Punch. Kano, 9 others mauled death sentence, life jail. Kano, Benue, Anambra, others committed to death sentence for convicts. This is according to official, and an IG orders intelligence gathering on abductors. Kidnappers, landlords risk 20-year jail term. That means you have to know who is occupying your, facility, your building, your structure. It's not just you giving them, your space, your apartment. It's also knowing that they are responsible individuals that are not into any criminal activity.
But Evelyn, in these days and time that we have people we call caretaker agents, how would the landowner or the apartment owner know who is occupying his or her house, especially when he or she doesn't live there?
I think also we need to talk about the is it caretaker they call them, or agents, house agents, the ones that you have to go through before you meet the landlord.
House agents,
And these people are, the proliferation of these guys is on the high.
We should have a conversation about those people.
Because just you wanting to get one apartment, you can go through like 20 agents. You meet one person, the person knows someone that knows someone that knows another person that owns the agent.
Somebody with the key has the information. Somebody information has the area.
But I think you should just take whatever measure to ensure that the person coming into your house or occupying your building is a responsible person. Moving on, Blinken meets Tinubu, pledges $45 million security fund for Nigeria, others, and you see the president and Mr. Blinken there, having a conversation. The pictures are there. Away from that, INEC meets security agencies over February 3rd by-elections, and 2 arrested over man's death after hotel sex romp. 4 billion naira theft. EFCC arraigns Obiano today. 8 defense ex-governor. And on page 17, FG to sell 5 power plants for $1 billion. And still on page 17, Naira depreciation pushes drug imports to 950 billion Naira. And Nigerians lambast Wike for downplaying abduction epidemic. Wike will not really, be off the hook anytime soon. Nigerians are really all for him at this time. But he has been speaking, he has been responding, and we hope that this can be more and the security agencies and everyone concerned can get to work. That will be all for the punch.
Yeah, people had to come for him when he spoke about the abduction, and he was trying to put a political angle to it. That these are just the work of detractors, that if abductions has happened in 1 or 2, 3 places, these were his words, that in 1 or 2 places, they should not make it to look like the whole of Abuja is being abducted. And people are saying, no, don't tell us that. Don't make it to look, don't downplay,
It's just like what we took yesterday with Reno Mercury.
Yeah.
Comparing Nigeria, Abuja to New York.
New York City, actually. Next is The Guardian newspaper for today. And 2025 broadband target dicey as 31 states remain undeserved. Take that again. 2025 broadband target dicey as 31 states remain undeserved. And of course, you have the map of the Federal Republic of Nigeria there. Excuse me. And of course, the part that are being served there, you see Oyo, Ogun, Lagos, FCT, Edo. Maybe these are the states that you can say they are served, and not other states that are not properly served. You have the Minister of Digital Communications there, Bosun Tijani, with other stakeholders. But moving on, Muftuan declares 24-hour curfew in Mangu. Ijo youths, Pengasan set for showdown over sale of Shell's onshore assets. News page 28, and of course on Blinken visit. Blinken, Tinubu hold bilateral talks on security, economic cooperation. I've got the inset of Anthony Blinken picture there. Moving on, federal government hands over 700 megawatt Zungero project to MESL may stabilize national grid. Anything to involve our power will be welcome, but let it be properly done so that we don't end up with another PNID situation. And police move against self-kidnap, arrest suspect in Lagos Plateau and Abuja. Really interesting times. Ogun Assembly impeaches Oluomo for alleged fraud. Okay. EFCC to arraign Obiano for alleged 4 billion fraud today. You remember Obiano that was picked up, immediately left office after handing over to Chukuma Soludo. He will be arraigned for 4 billion alleged fraud today. And government generate 1.7 trillion in December, shares 1.1 trillion among federating entities. News page 3. Old corruption saboteurs hobble new regime at passport offices again. Old corruption saboteurs hobble new regime at passport offices. News analysis page 4. And 12 in police note over NMPP APC supporters clash in Kano. You want to wonder why? Okay, pick up copy of news of Guardian and open to news page 29. That will be all from the front page of the Guardian for today.
From the Guardian, we move to the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And starting with the Vanguard, Dow, FG, others gained 1.05 trillion naira from naira depreciation as exchange rate gains soar by 10,400% in 9 months. And Tinubu receives Blinken. You can see the picture of the president in an handshake with Mr. Blinken there. And why we impeached Speaker, says Ogun Assembly. Japa 32,462 Nigerians apply for international passports in 2 weeks.
Only.
Amazing. Amazing.
Amazing.
But then we should also know that people that apply for passports is not only for Japa reason.
Yeah.
People travel in and out of the country for different things, for business, for tourism,
right.
and all of that. So we shouldn't generalize and say all these 32,462 persons want to move out of the country.
When you check the pattern, and of course what is happening, you can make your inference to say maybe, majorly. And when you hear, by virtually of what you know in your own community and your own space of people that are just, making the switch. But then, all the best to everyone.
All right, moving on. Standoff in Plateau as police battle 16 sacked PDP lawmakers. We won't accept 16 PDP, 16 APC members into plenary, says Speaker. Ask parties to wait for interpretation of judgments. Governor Mufwang declares 24-hour curfew in Mango. We realized that there was drama yesterday at the Plateau House of Assembly, where the 16 sacked lawmakers by the appeals court came to sit for plenary. And we understand that they were tear-gassed by the police out of that environment. But they were so resolute and they stood their ground, saying if a superior court can declare Governor Mufwang as duly elected based on the same reason that they were, sacked from office, then the judgment of the appeal court should actually be set aside. So
now the question is, by which court? Which court will set that aside?
That's the thing, because it's really dicey, and we've had legal practitioners, senior legal practitioners, speak to this issue, saying the highest court for the legislative litigation ends at the appeal court. So as it is, the appeals court is the highest court to hear such particular kind litigation. Of case. Exactly. Yeah. So the Supreme Court really, we had a lawyer that said the Supreme Court should not have spoken to that issue because
in as much
it was not before it.
But it's a court of policy, by the way.
These are the issues. Away from that, Pengassan rejects planned sale of Shell's onshore asset. And top corner of Vanguard newspaper this morning, Rivers elders kick as court shun suit against Tinubu's peace pact. Implement NSAS reports, US tells FJ. EFCC arraigns Obiano over alleged 4 billion naira fraud today. The story is on page 13. And on page 23, $20 billion Dangote refinery. Marketers propose payment in Naira. And I think if we have that, is going to be a very good one for our country. And let's just take Mr. and Mrs. This is coming from Mrs. Darlene Arietta, and her husband are coming to spend his annual leave with us. Why are you frowning? We have hosted them before. And Mr. responding to Mrs. statement, that was when a bag of rice was 25,000 naira. That means let them stay in their house. A bag of rice now is over 60,000. So how do you hope we can cope with these visitors?
What a rhyme. How do you hope we cope with this?
All right, but that will be all for Vanguard.
Interesting times, I must tell you. Everybody, almost every man would think the same way Mr. is thinking at this time, because we live in interesting times, I must tell you. But then we go to The Nation. The Nation newspaper is our next point of stop. And quick one, tiers of government share 1.1 trillion naira from Federation account revenue. And of course, riders here, allocation highest ever, 500 billion naira kept in savings. Yusuf, let gains of reform reflect on citizens. And I think that's key as well. All right. All right, and we removed Ogun Speaker because of arrogance. Fund misapplication. We removed Ogun Speaker because of arrogance. Fund misapplication. And U.S. seeks removal of barriers to investment. Blinken lauds Tinubu's economic policies. Nigeria offers compelling opportunities for investors. And of course, you have the picture of Anthony Blinken, the U.S. Secretary of State, with President Bola Tinubu, the GCFR there. Moving on, Bottom Street President promises development of Niger Delta at meeting with monarchs. Again, President promises development of Niger Delta at meeting with monarch. And of course, GMO intensifies Ondo 2024 consultation. That's there. That's Jimo Ibrahim. Top strip, shake up in police intelligence operations. Again, shake up in police intelligence operations. IG rejects officers and assets. Storm in Plateau House of Assembly. Speaker stops ex-lawmakers. And of course, plan to unify forex rate reporting underway. Plan to unify forex rate reporting underway. And EFCC, how XHOS oil eater laundered millions. How XHOS oil eater laundered millions. And that's the headlines that we found on the front page of The Nation for today. Interesting ones there.
Yes, interesting indeed. And let's take on Daily Independent newspaper for today. And year-round elections putting pressure on INEC, says Yakubu. And FARC shares 1.127 trillion naira December 2023 revenue to FG States, LG. And PIA, Tinubu vows to strengthen investment in oil gas sector. 4 billion naira alleged fraud, EFCC to arraign Obiano today. On page 7, FG6 collaboration with Hungarian firm plans aircraft manufacturing. Someone will say we have been here before. This promise and also this, this kind of thing we have heard it before, especially with the last administration. We hope they will walk the talk. And Speaker's impeachment not targeted at governor, says new Ogun Assembly Speaker. Blinken holds bilateral meeting with Tinubu, and of course you can see the picture of the president there with Mr. Blinken. Plateau Assembly, I won't swear in 16 appeal court endorsed lawmakers. This is coming from the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, and FG receives National Values Charter blueprint. Looking at the top strip of the Daily Independent newspaper, Tinubu meets South-South monarchs, reassures on completing East-West road, and there shouldn't be special status for Lagos. Femi Okunu says, and I'm sure this is speaking to issues of relocations of some agencies, of some ministries to Lagos. And we had the ACF speak on the matter, the Arawa consultative firm, saying if you want to move FAN to Lagos, the airport headquarters to Lagos, then you should also move, the ministry, you should also move the Ministry of Agriculture to the north. You should move the Ministry for mining and all of that also to the north.
But what's the logic behind all that?
The Ministry for Petroleum and all that oil to the south-south. You should move the Ministry of Trade and Investment to the southeast. So, this
you
is
wonder the logic
everything
behind
is
these
all
things.
about, ethnicity, tribalism,
This one is for us, that one is for them. They should have this one. Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria is not a Lagos thing. The last time I checked, the politics behind it, I wouldn't know.
There's
by
always
the way,
distrust among those
these
people.
are the issues. Zalim Dume spoke on the matter yesterday as well, and he was very vehement when he was saying it. And he said if Kiani is not taking, that he feels President Tinubu is not the one doing all this, that they are the people around him. And he says these things will have consequences. In fact, he said that categorical, and he said, next election, this might have political consequences if these things are not addressed.
All right, and that's the much we can take on the newspaper review for today. Today is the World Education Day. We will be speaking to this issue during the conversation. Do not go anywhere. We'll go for this break. When we return, we have critical stakeholders that will be speaking to the issue of education in our dear country, Nigeria. We'll be right back.
All right, you're welcome back, and the conversation is on a very critical sector of any serious nation, and it's about education. No nation, that's been said over time, and widely agreed, no nation will prosper beyond the level of its education and the priority such a nation put on its education and everything that has to do with it, from making it a priority to funding it and making every critical stakeholders feel very important, doing what they do and having the kind of result that such a nation wants. So that same way it trickles down to the subnationals as well, state and local government as well. So today is a very important day, a day that has been set aside, on this topic of discussion. Today is International Day of Education. International Day of Education, a day set aside by UNESCO, to look at education and matters arising from it and with it. And this year, the theme is about making education, this means paraphrasing now, as a tool for peace. And of course, that is a very essential conversation that we should have, and that's why we are having it now, taking care of challenges that might arise from racial, ethnic, religious sentiment, and taking care of some of those things irrespective of background or any indices that might be involved. And that's why we're having this conversation once again. We are being joined by our critical stakeholders in the house today. And of course, very happy to introduce to you Honorable Adewumi. He's an architect, Honorable, let me call him Architect Adeyemi Adewumi. He's the Honorable Member representing the good people of Obokun State Constituency in the Osun State House of Assembly. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good to have you here.
Thank you
very much. And of course, another critical stakeholder, Mr. Ademola Adebisi, Executive Director, Value Reorientation for Community Enhancement. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We are very happy to have you here. Now, to the conversation, which is essentially about education today. Today set aside as International Day of Education. This year's theme is about using education as a tool for peace. How does that theme, rub off you when you saw it, education be an essential tool for peace, for keeping peace?
Okay, thank you very much. Well, first of all, let me congratulate every stakeholder in the educational sector, the students, the teachers, government, Happy International Day of Education. Just as you've said, education is key and very, very important, and it revolves around peace, actually, because when you're educated, you are able to receive needed knowledge to live a life that is fulfilling. So take, for instance, a young man that went to school, got educated, and after finishing a tertiary, institution, have something to do worthwhile with his or her life. Such a person will live a kind of a life, that is different from someone that is not educated and does not actually have a direction. And of course, let me say this: education does not only mean the formal aspect of education. Is when you receive a particular knowledge that gives you direction. So with that kind of a thing, when you have direction, you definitely enjoy peace. So I agree with the theme of this year's International Day of Education, that education is a key factor, it's a tool, to actually sustain peace and achieve peace.
By the way, we're not just having him here as an honorable member. I think you're the chairman, House Committee.
No, I'm not.
Okay, all right.
not.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very well. But then, from the politician to critical stakeholder as well, who is in this business, education as a tool for peace as well. That's the theme of this year's International Day of Education. Is a global thing that has been done. Are we capable of doing that as a nation? And is that really visible? Has that been the practice? Is education really feasible to fixing, challenges that are not really making us to have the peace that we deserve? Is it capable of promoting peace, really?
Okay, thank you.
In our climb here.
Yeah, I will follow up with what the Honorable just said. If you look at it very well, something triggered this theme for this year, and it's because we need peace. Every sector, every family, every home needs peace. There's a lot of issues across the world, and while we're talking about this, if you look at Nigeria very well, I think Nigeria is one nation in Africa because of our population. We need the peace more than any other person because everybody is affected as we speak now. If you think you are not affected, I am a person that used to travel very well. So one of my work takes me across the country. So I visit Borno State, go to Yobe State, Plateau State, all those states and all these northeast states. And you can imagine, if I tell anybody now that I'm going to Sokoto State, they will say, God save you. If I said I'm going to Kaduna State, so it has affected me, it has affected my income, it has affected everything that I'm doing. So if you're not looking at it at the place of safety, now, before now, we used to say it is in the north, but today, it is no more in the north. It's getting closer to everybody. So everybody, when you travel from here to Ibadan, people say, thank God for Johnny Mercy. But before now, you just travel the way you like. I used to have some friends when they want to go to Abuja, in the evening time, they go to Ibadan to take a night bus. But today, you don't try it. You think twice before you go through that. So we need peace, and I think Nigeria as a nation, we have the capacity, we have the resources to get us peace. And this is why I'm saying this. Before the removal of subsidy, or partial removal of subsidy, let me use that language, we thought that if we start buying fuel at 300 naira, this nation will crumble because nobody will be able to go out. But today, everybody is going around with their business at 630, 640, 650. That means there is a resources somewhere that can take us. Every family has a little resources, but the nation, the government has resources. As a government, they have promised us that we want to give you security. We want to secure your life. So security of life is not about the military, the police securing your life. It's for you to go home and be able to feed your family as a man, as a woman. You go to your work, you return, you earn your salary, and you can protect your family. Because it is not only gun that kills. Hungry also kills. When you can't provide education, it also kills. I used to know some young boys when we were growing up. Some of them couldn't go to school. And today, if you're passing by, you see some of them at the garage. You see some of them, they just want to do something. And some of them are part of people that are constituting nuisance today because there wasn't education. Education gives you information. It may be formal or informal education. And the most important thing is that do you get the education? If you're able to get education, you get information and you are secured. Right. So education brings security.
All right, Mr. Debisi, still focusing on the concept of peace. You spoken on the fact that education, will somewhat allow us to have people, men and women that grow into good individuals in the society. But permit me to go this route. Do you think when you place education and poverty side by side, which do you think really gives that gives oxygen to having people grow into what we call terrorists, grow into bandits, go into kidnapping, becoming kidnappers? because we've seen people that are educated, but because they didn't find what to do in the society, they were pushed into becoming criminals. So I'd like you to actually talk on that before I move over to the honorable member.
Okay, education must be inclusive. If we have few people that are educated and some are not educated, we are about 5 in this studio. And if few of us are educated and the other 2 or 3 are not educated, what gives us our income is when everybody are doing, we're working, and it revolves around every one of us. I have something to sell to you. You have money to buy from me. You also have something to sell to the other person. But if some few people are educated, while some are not educated, it's still nothing. So that's those that are not educated, I mentioned something to some of the team that visited me yesterday. I told them that there is a saying that we use in the development world that the rich couldn't sleep because the poor is awake. And the poor couldn't sleep because the poor is hungry. So it comes round. Now that the poor couldn't sleep, we'll be thinking on how to get into the rich man's house and look for something to eat by all means. So, but if the poor has been educated and have little things to do, the poverty level will be reduced. If you're not educated, if I empowered you and you don't have information, we have the honorable in the house. I know I've followed him for some time. I see some little thing that he's doing to develop his immediate community and his constituency. But if he's just doing that and they are not informed, somebody will come today and get 100,000 for startup business. We go somewhere and sit down and spend it. So that is why education have a larger role to play. No matter what it is, education comes first.
Have you heard the phrase or the saying, education has come, in Nigeria parlance? And this is actually majorly not coming from people that are uneducated. This is coming from people that are educated. They've gone through school, but because they are not seeing the benefits of going to school, they see someone who is uneducated, who has gone to maybe do, is it Nnaboy, they call it, these Igbo people, where, they go through apprenticeship
for years.
For 4 years. They'll go to school for 4 years. At the end of the day, this person that has gone to learn work for 4 years has something to show, but they do not have anything to show. So they generalize and conclude and say education is a scam.
So that is a half big educated person that is saying that.
How do you mean?
Okay, for a government, when I follow every government and say we are providing free education and the student or the children couldn't have access to basic things in education. I remember as a young boy, I was privileged in primary school to get free book. And if you look at the entire class in that primary school, you hardly see someone that has a good bag for that school. You said that you have a small backpack bag or nylon bag where you put all those books. Every day they got sold, and you come back again, you buy another bag. But we were given, immediately you resume 2-3 days after, they give you every book that you need. So if you say you're giving free education and they don't even have a pen to write, they don't have an exercise book, they don't have a textbook. So that is not education. So if basic needs are provided, their skill acquisition is embedded in the education that you're giving. So as I'm graduating, it doesn't mean that every one of us will sit down and put on a suit and I have something to do. I go to school and I also learn something during that process. I think as time goes on, I will also mention one of the things that is part of education. It's not just sitting in the 4 wall of classroom and after 4 years you graduated, there's nothing to show. The school passed through you, are not passing through the school, or you're passing through the school is not passing through you. That is not education.
All right. Very well said. Let me come back to Honorable Dewumi. You represent the good people of Obokun in the State House of Assembly. So let me narrow it down now. From Ibokun to Imesi, South to Esauke, all day, I can see you smiling, to all the 6 local government represented in Ijesha land and the entire 30 local government Osun State and the LCDAs as well, you doing your bit and your colleague as well. Does it bother you that there was a report in 2023 December that Osun State has the highest out-of-school children in the Southwest? And this was confirmed by the Commissioner for Education, Oluwole Adedipo, you know, and he said so many things about the previous government. But then here we are right now. Does it bother you that your people, the people you represent, the government in which you serve, the state in which we are right now, Osun State, out of 6 states, has the highest out-of-school children?
Yeah,
Because we're talking about education.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Does it bother you?
It's a serious concern, and it's even beyond bothering me. It's a cause for serious concern that we have the highest number of out-of-school children.
Really?
Now, it is those that are able to go to primary school that will be able to go to the secondary school and advance to tertiary institution. But when you are not even able to start at the primary level, the basic education, then how do you advance in your education? And this is why you won't be able to solve problems. And this is where lack of peace come in. So it calls for serious concern. And we have been doing our bit, you know, as representative of the people and collectively as a government. I recall at the inception of this government, the governor, you know, had a summit on education, and several recommendations were made, which the government is actualizing one after the other. And also, well, let me just say this, because I agree with you. Yeah. It's caused a serious concern. And I also, in my own bit, you know, trying to pull out these out-of-school children, you know, take them off the street and take them back to school. Take, for instance, I was on a trip, maybe on a morning like this, one of those days in my constituency, and I saw a woman and a young person, you know, with firewood, you know, on their head, and I was concerned that why was the young guy not in school, you know. And of course, you will discover that as small as 1,000 naira or 2,000 naira is, you know, is the reason why some of these people are not in school. So this is why we're able to, you know, we pick them across the constituency, the ones we're able to do, you know, give them scholarship and return them back to school. But that is just small, you know, compared to the number of out-of-school children that we have.
Sorry to bolt in. What did you find out? House members, you personally, what are these issues? Why are these children not in school, essentially?
Well, I would say
something must be responsible.
Yeah, I would say, well, from my own research in the last 5 years, what I've observed is, I think, majorly is poverty. Now, if you take a young child that is helping or assisting the parents, maybe in selling all these things that they sell in the market, you know, the parents might feel the absence of that child. Do you understand? So we don't not only support the child to go back to school, we also have to support the parents, because if you, it's like the only assistance that the parents are trying to get, you take it off from them. You understand? So you also need to support the parents. So it's poverty mainly. It's not even, they know their child or their children have to go to school, but unfortunately they could not afford it, you know.
If it's poverty, we've had instances, and are very close to us, of poor people, relatively poor people, very poor people, who are even largely uneducated, that would tell themselves, in as much they didn't go to school, they are poor, that would be like a tool for them to say, all my children must attend school. I know people who do that, and they will say, I will give it all what it takes, even when I'm poor. I know that if the child goes to school, it will change the stories. Has that kind of mindset changed over time?
No, it has not.
Or is the poverty that has overwhelmed everything?
You know, people with different mindset. Now, there's a kind of mindset you've described. The poverty is the reason why they are, you know, inspiring themselves
to say somebody
forward.
Must break
and
this.
For other people, you know, their mindset is the reason why they're just where they are. You understand? So now, you see, we just need to begin to enlighten our people. We are doing that, but we will not stop. We need to continue to enlighten them that regardless, because I believe education is a passport out of poverty. Very, very, there's no any other means that we can get out of poverty.
How about people education? Who say, when I mean you, politicians, people at the end of affairs, from subnationals to the national, possibly just play to the gallery when you say you're supporting education, because they think, and that's a popular belief, that if everybody is educated, if everybody knows what to do, politicians will not have willing tools in their hands to use. And these are that they just want to have people kept perpetually subservient to them so that they can use them as willing to, especially during elections. And when they get whatever they want, you go to your houses, heavily guarded. The next 4 years, the same cycle repeats itself, and here we are.
Okay, well, I don't agree with that, because over a period of time,
politicians do it.
Yeah, I don't agree. That could not be intentional, you see, because just like he said, over a period of time, you see, these poor people that you are trying to keep at the poverty level will still come and haunt you over a period of time. Why do we have insecurity in our
That's why
nation?
you have mobile policemen or security
Well,
apparatus
it
around
goes all
you.
the way. Who will eventually become the mobile policeman? You know, somebody coming from that similar background. You understand? So it's a mindset that is revolving. So it's not going to help. Let me give you an instance.
Please.
Now, I met someone in my constituency, one of those youths, you know, and over a period of time, I've been observing him. When I come around, he tries to, you know, in quote, hail me and try to get something from me. And I've been observing him. And I called him one of those days and I asked him, what do you do? What skill do you have? You understand? And he told me he learned a particular skill. And the skill he learned is related to my own profession. So I decided to bring him up, got him one or two, you know, jobs that he could do. Over a period of time, I observed, he got a phone. He told me he got a place for his wife, you know, to have his shop. He got a motorbike. Over a period of time, he got a car. Now, the point now is the life he was living before is now far different from the life he's living now. And for me, it's now more useful for me, even as a politician, because it could assist even some of my other constituents when I'm not even there. So I don't support that. If we have some politicians thinking that way, maybe they are not also educated because they are not equipped, they require knowledge. When you equip someone, when you give someone an education, it will even be more useful for you than when he's not educated.
All right, so, you know, according to the Sustainable Development Goals 2030, adopted in 2015, it says Goal 4, SDG Goal 4, aims to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Now, as a state legislator, are you concerned, are you bothered that we still have children who actually learn under harsh conditions? I mean, you go to schools, you see the buildings these two children are in, you see their classrooms. Some of these children even learn under trees. I mean, one of our reporters did a report last year where somewhere in Ife, where students were learning under trees. They learn in dilapidated buildings. And you wonder, what kind of knowledge do you want to pass to these children under such conditions, knowing fully well that we also have children that are learning in good environments? So if the SDG Goal 4 says that ensure inclusive and equitable quality education, not equal, equitable, what are you doing as a legislator? What do you think the government should be doing at this time to ensure that each child has access to quality education in the state?
Okay, quality education is key, and one of those things that will give us quality education is the kind of environment, the conducive environment that you are learning from. Well, speaking from the point of view of the government, you know, you also recall when this government came on board, the governor, he visited some school, at a particular school, and he was also shocked, you know, seeing the conditions, you know, of those schools, and he has since then, you know, began to make moves to make sure we have conducive environment. And that one that you also mentioned in Ife, I'm also surprised, but I'm sure the representative from that area will also try to, you know, take that up to see, because you see, it did not just happen in a day. It has been there over a period of time, you know, and we need, like this government is doing a government that will build the cart, you know, to begin to take up responsibility. And beyond infrastructure, you know, infrastructure is key, but you didn't go there. Let me just say this. I also believe we need to look into our curriculum. Very, very important. What do we go to school to learn? Now, you mentioned something saying that education is a scam. Why do people, even professors, PhD holders, people with different degrees, why are they saying education is a scam? Now, I feel it is because, you know, someone that went to school for 7, 8, 9, 10 years compared his life with someone that did not even, maybe it was just an apprenticeship. And of course, maybe they're judging life based on, you know, the money you're able to make, but of course it's beyond that. Now, the issue is that when we go to school, what skill are we equipped with? Why is it that we have someone that studied mechanical engineering and we still have to go back to a roadside mechanic to go and learn how to fix his car? It means there's something wrong with our education. There's something wrong with our curriculum. For me, this is what I've even been talking about. You know, we need to look into our curriculum again. So, for instance, you are studying to become a lawyer. What are they teaching you? Now, you go to some nations, maybe US or UK, you know, some of them even have law as a second degree. You could have your first degree somewhere. So you just go to, you have about 2 years, then you have your law. You come back to Nigeria, you have your, you know, maybe law school, something, you know. So the work they will learn in 2 years, we are here learning for 5 years. So we need to look not only law and other subjects. So we need to look into our curriculum so that we can bring out the quality. So that when someone says they graduate from a particular school, we know that that person is equipped, you know, to function in that area. I think some of those areas, I mean, some of those professions, I think we are doing well in that area is maybe the medical doctor. When you train a medical doctor, is trained to perform that particular role. But other professions, do we actually have it? So when we say education, it's not just passing through the school. When you pass through the school, when you leave, what are you equipped with? What can you confidently say that you are able to do?
You're saying we need more practical knowledge than the theoretical?
Both anyway, but we need to check our curriculum to make sure we are equipped. You need the theoretical, you also need the practical.
But how do you think we can strengthen the basic with the primary and the secondary? Because in other nations, I had a friend who said he has a friend who didn't go to college. You know, she just went to the elementary, went to high school, and that was it. And she said she doesn't want to go to college, and she was okay with it. But right here in Nigeria, you cannot confidently say you want to go to primary school and secondary school and stop there. You will be considered a failure. Yeah,
that's a kind of a mindset. That's the kind of thing we need to change. That you didn't go to college, you didn't go to university does not make you a failure. Now, I'm an architect, just like you said, and most of the artisans that we use, I'm sorry to say this, they are not from this part of the world. They are not from Nigeria. They come from other nations, you know, our neighboring nations, Togo, Cotonou, and the likes. This is because their vocational education is strong in that place. They train their bricklayers for a particular skill. So when this guy comes from Cotonou, when he sets block for me, I see a perfect straight line because that was what he was trained for, and he's living a good life. He's okay with it. Compared to our guys here, because our vocational education is weak, you understand? Their finishing, you cannot compare it with their own finishing. So I agree with you. Now we need to let people know and enlighten them that education does not necessarily mean, which is part of it, but doesn't mean that you go to university. Now when you finish your basic education, you can have a choice. You want to go for technical education, you want to advance to college. Some of these Chinese guys that we also bring in, many of them didn't go to college. They stopped at the technical education level, but they are equipped. Some of them cannot even speak English, good English. You check some of these gadgets that they bring to us, you see, you can easily fault their English language. In other words, it's not even about the language. That you can speak fluently does not mean you're educated. It's just a language.
And some of those people you're talking about, they come here and they still superintend over our
PhD holders.
Yeah.
In other words, what is the essence of a PhD holder with all your PhDs that you are? That a technical student from China will come and supervise you.
Now, before I come to Mr. DBC, Honorable, that's where you come in. The next line of question is, you have said, yes, we need to have a problem-solving kind of curriculum that is tailored towards addressing issues about the way. And the next line of question, what are you doing? What are your colleagues doing in addressing that so that it doesn't just end up with, we need to start, we should be, what are you doing to address that, at least in Osun State?
Yeah, in Osun recently, well, this 8th assembly.
Sorry, knowing fully well, there is technical college, you know, Shogbo.
Yes.
There are so many technical colleges. There are technical buildings. It's almost every secondary school that have gone moribund right now.
Yes, I agree with you. Now, while this 8th assembly came on board and the House Committee on Education was put in place, I'm not the chairman, but I'm also a member. Now, we've met all the stakeholders, you know, under the Ministry of Education. And of course, this that you just asked was one of those that we raised. I raised them at the floor of the House, at the community level. And of course, I understand that drafting the curriculum of education is not only a state affair. It is actually a federal affair, you know, majorly a federal affair. And that one way or the other, there's not much we can do. But I also understand, like the technical school that you mentioned, we visited that place. You know, unfortunately, we have billions of Naira equipment locked up in some of these technical schools. And, you know, when we came on board, we observed that, you know, there are issues, you know, but fortunately, thank God for this government, and they're trying to resolve it, and very soon that place will be open so that students can benefit from it. Now, what I would say in that area is that there are steps that are being taken one after the other, because it has been, because I told them personally, how will we begin to go to school and don't have the result of what we are learning in school? It means we are not learning anything. We are not learning.
That's
so something important. Will be moved on.
Yes, Mr. DBC, back to the theme of today. UNESCO is dedicating the International Day of Education celebrated today, 24th, for the crucial role education and teachers play in country now for this year. Hate speech, a phenomenon which has snowballed in recent years with the use of social media, and then damaging the fabric of our societies. Now, the world is in a surge of violent conflicts paralleled by an alarming rise of discrimination, racism, xenophobia, and hate speech. Now, the impact of this violence transcends any boundary based on geography, gender, race, religion, politics, offline and online. Education in solving all these vices that I just listed there, which has snowballed in recent years with the use of social media. Education, curbing hate speech, and some of those things that you see in the social media space. How do we navigate that route? How does education come in? Because if we are talking about formal education, most users of social media, you could averagely say they're educated. And these are the people that bring out these bias, bullying, cyberbullying, unjust profiling of the people based on their gender, based on their religious beliefs, based on their political affiliations. The whole space is just full of whatever you choose to do. How will education curb these things? Because these challenges are staring us in the face. So obvious.
So I will also mention what the Honorable said, that we need to look into our curriculum. It's very important. And what everybody get there is what determines who they are. And if I did education in the university, okay. So I also understand, I may not have been in the classroom before, but I understand what it means to be in the classroom. I understand education as it is, as a whole. And I know that education it should be inclusive. We have a lot of things to do. When we were in school, in primary and secondary school, we have counselors. If you're doing something wrong, it is not the work of your teacher. There is a trained counselor in your school.
Guidance and counselor.
Yeah, guidance and counselor. That takes you through some process. It will come with little punishment, but then when you leave that stage, it may take you like a week or 2 weeks, depending on what the school is saying, that, okay, you'll be seeing the guidance and counselor for the next 2 weeks. As you're coming to school, you are reporting yourself to the. So there is a process in that. So if you're looking at our curriculum again, we need to work with it very well. We need to work out, and I think Osun State can be a role model. I work in both education and health sector, and I remember when one of the governors in Ondo State was there, and everybody wants to use the template of what happened in the health sector in that state. So I think other states can come to Osun State and look at our education, like what he said. If they take a bigger step and make sure that our education is properly reviewed, and without sentiment. If we can, I remember also, sorry, I just keep on referring to when we were in school. As a young boy, I know that there was a government, I think the military, you don't go out, you don't walk in the street when your mates are in school. You'll be arrested. Your parents will come, they will replace your parents with you, and you go home, your parents stay there. Why are you outside? So it's a basic and mandatory education. If we make it mandatory for every household, for every family, you will not see the children of 5, 6, 7 years hawking around everywhere. If they are hawking in Oshogbo, that means they can hawk anywhere. And there was a study, I think in 2008 or thereabout, that talks about the number of out of school, and still again, we are still talking about it now. The number of out of school children in Nigeria with teenage pregnancy. And Osun State was coming like, wow. And there's a community in Osun State that is #1 in Nigeria then, because of the high rate of hawking in that community. Because it was on the road, on the express road, so everybody want to hawk, everybody want to sell. And then we find out there was a very high rate of teenage pregnancy in that community. But if education has been made mandatory, that this education we are providing, we are giving you education, is a must for your children to go to school, they will let them go. Because if you ask them, we have a center, or an informal education center, and one day there was a girl that always, once in a week, will not come to school. Because we make some provision for them. So the girl name is always absent on every Tuesday. So because we have counselors, the girls is just for girls, where is for out of school girls. So the girls were grouped in group. So teachers have like about 5 that they cancel.
Right.
So we asked the teacher to talk to the girl, and what she said is that the mom, she must go to a particular market that is on Tuesday in Osogbo here. Every Tuesday is a must. And you know the funniest thing? The mother is one of our PTA member. So it doesn't matter, she doesn't care what happened. And despite that, she's taking a lead among the parents that comes every month to have meetings with us.
All right.
So when we discovered this, we started talking to the girl, we invited the mother. So it's a must when we follow through and we look at our education, our curriculum, and make sure that every necessary thing are in there. So people that went to school, even if you didn't graduate, if you little that you get, you will have a better mindset. You will not come out and say, this is, I am this, and this is what is right. You will not just sit down on your own and just think this is what is right.
Mr. Adebisi, I agree with you. You know, coming on the heels of making education compulsory and, you know, very value-oriented. But how about when you see educated, supposed educated people on social media space spilling bias, hate speech, fake news, profiling people based on their beliefs and the rest? So how do we do this? How do the education curb this? These guys have gone to school, but they are the ones making life unbearable for others on the social media space. Some persons have been bullied and they committed suicide. Some persons have been falsely accused on social media and they ended their lives. So how do we curb this? Because it's essential for today's commemoration of International Day of Education.
So we have a lot of information.
So it's not
outside.
lack of not going to school for those people. They weren't there, but these things are still happening.
So we have a lot of information that flies every day on social media. But can we also intensify more efforts to give out the appropriate information and send more information out? Most of the time I follow your station online. And when I see some things that I think people should understand, I save and I share that across board.
Yeah.
So a lot of people make comments, I send to groups, so they make comments, and if we start sharing more information, better information, to counter the wrong information. Now, there was a time the government, I think the past president talks about regulating social media. I think that would be the best thing for us. There are countries that are doing it.
Regulating.
Regulating what we post on social media. As you sending it, we can have a better collaboration with the handlers of this social
Would
media.
that be infringing on people's right to opinion,
Okay.
right to speech?
Yes, like you said, if I'm posting something that will make the other person to go ahead and commit suicide, what have I done to that person? I've also destroyed somebody. So if I am posting something that I know on Twitter, Facebook, I know there are some things now that if you post, immediately you're posting, you send out of the place, or they say they send you to
flagged.
jail. So it's flagged. So if this can also be flagged before people start seeing it, before it starts going around.
All right.
But I think better information, when we post more better information, share to people, we get better educated.
Okay, we are almost out of time, but I'll just show this at Honorable Member representing Obokun constituency. Now, there are talks in some quarters that the quality of pupils that we turn out, I'm not talking about students in higher education, I'm talking about secondary, primary school students, that the quality has dropped over time. And this is because of the values that we no longer preach in our schools. You know, back then in the schools, at the assembly ground, there are words of affirmation we say every morning, you know, where people say, the pupils say to themselves every morning, and it becomes a part of them. That has actually been thrown out of the window, and we have embraced totally the Western culture of education. We no longer do what we used to do. You know, in the morning they do that Ishelo Munshe and all of that. And pupils, it becomes a part of them. Do you also think we should reintroduce such, you know, you spoke about curriculum and all of that. We should reintroduce such so that we can build people with values and not just educated people?
I agree. Now that should be reintroduced because our values, you know, our values is what we are protected of by. But I also want to say this, you know, because we need to learn to adjust to the new normal. The new normal is that the world is going technological.
Okay.
There's actually no walls again. So even if we are introducing it, what medium are we going to use to reintroduce it? Now, going back to social media again, people say, like you said, say things that make people to commit suicide. Now, we even maybe using the word regulating might not be the right word. We need to begin to create laws. Laws that guide, that's the solution. Laws that guides the operation of social media. Our laws, the laws we make 10 years ago might not be applicable this time. Our laws will be changing over a period of time. So since we're in the era of social media, we need to make laws that will actually guide the operation of social media, and this has to be done nationally.
So you are for social media regulation?
Now, in the sense of making laws to guide social media.
That's regulation.
Now, you see, why I don't want to use the word regulation is that the world is a kind of, when you say you want to regulate social media, it's as if you are going against some set of people. Yeah. So that's why I don't want to use the word regulate, but can use the word guide, make laws to guide.
Sorry, because we are really pressed. I'm sorry. But how about people that say, politicians, sorry for using that word because you are here. Now, leaders should show example. I'll give you an example. I said it before you came. A particular local government chairman in Rivers State, I'm talking about what is happening, went on the social media space to use abusive words against his own governor because there is issue between the sitting governor and the former governor, and this local government chairman is loyal to the former governor, that's Wike, and he calls his own governor foolish governor because in as much some people are insulting Wike, he too, as a sitting local government chairman, he will not stop insulting Fubara, and then he calls him a foolish governor, and he posted it by himself, that video, on his social media space, and he said those things in the community of people. When people go and run with this kind of story, what do you expect that will be the end of such a thing? Talking about the use of social media, even by politicians like yourself.
Yeah, on both sides, you see, law, there's rule of law. The rule of law means that the law rules, the law reigns. That means nobody's above the law.
Do we have rule of law in Nigeria? I mean, we've had people that actually talk against politicians. They are nabbed, but when the politicians make the speech themselves, nothing, the police don't do anything.
We're speaking on what ought to be. We know what is, and we're talking about what ought to be. That does not mean we have entirely, the rule of law. We have people that, pose themselves as if they are above the law. But that does not mean we will not continue to talk about it. We'll continue to say that rule of law must be followed. So whether you are the governor, you are the president, you are the House of Assembly member, when laws that are made that are guiding social media, everybody has to follow it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Honorable, you're here with us. I would like to know, give us a scoop. Is there anything going on in the State House of Assembly, probably a bill you're pushing basically on education, that you want to make the educational system in Osun State better? Your own house is trying to put together.
The one where I'm working on presently, not submitted yet, is on the curriculum. But I'm being guided because I just told you, because when I made some research, it has to do with, it's more of a federal thing. So on that, I will be working with my National Assembly members in my constituency to see what we can do on the curriculum. On
changing the curriculum?
Yeah, I've changed the curriculum for better.
All right. We are really pressed for time, and we have to go at this time. We have to thank you so much for honoring our invitation, Honorable Member representing Obokun Constituency, Osun State House of Assembly, Architect Adeyemi Adewumi. Would you prefer the architect or the honorable?
Actually, when I hear the word architect, it makes me feel good that I have a life outside.
So I can stick with the architect.
That's fine.
Okay, Architect Adeyemi Adewumi, thank you so much for coming. He's also an honorable member of the House of Assembly in Osun State. And we also have with us, we've been speaking also with the Executive Director of Value Reorientation for Community Enhancement, Mr. Ademola Adebisi. Thank you so much for coming. It's been a good conversation with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, people, that's the size of the conversation today. We really appreciate our guests for coming. And as we know that education is the bedrock of development, of progress for any society. And we hope that everyone, every stakeholder, not only the government, but everyone, individual, families, schools, can put the right things in place to ensure that we have great education in our country. And we also produce people of value, quality scholars, not just scholars, Femi.
Yeah, that's right. This is where we'll put the break as well. High quality scholars, value orientation is very key. We spoke to that as well. And as today is International Day of Education, please do what is right. Sure, you might have gone to school and earned certificate, show that you are really intellectual and you are really educated, especially in curbing hate speech, fake news. Make sure you are not the reason why people will feel bad about themselves. Even if you have gone to school, you should do better. Femi Ojo is my name. We'll make a return tomorrow.
All right. Bye. Stick around for Spring Trends coming right after this.